one. Have you wished the person beside you?
Happy Holistic Global Holistic Wealth Day. Come on. Happy Global Holistic Wealth Day, April 9. And you know what? You are a part of history in Ottawa. For the very first time, Global Holistic Wealth Day is being celebrated here in Ottawa.
And you're a part of that. So tell the person beside you, you're part of history. Awesome. So my name is Natalie Rowe, and I am CEO of Transforming Minds International. It's an organization dedicated to preparing the next gen for career success. And I have the awesome privilege of being your MC for this afternoon. So thank you so much for being here. So just a little housekeeping before we proceed. You may already know that the washrooms to my right, straight down, male and female, and we have refreshments as well. And in or during the networking session, we will have some nice refreshments during the networking event. So feel free to help yourself, all right? So Mr. Blair, is there any way to reduce the echo even more? Thank you. So how am I doing? Is this better? Yeah, that sounds better. There's a little delay, but I can work with that. Yes. So welcome again, and I like to start at the end. And by that I mean I like to help set expectations, like why are you my here? What can I expect from this really inspiring event? And so at the end of our time together today, it is our hope that you will, one, know what holistic wealth means, right? Have some really practical tips on how to really ensure that you are operating in that space and that mindset. And of course, you get to meet the founder and mother of Holistic Wealth herself, Keisha Blair. So, and we're going to be doing activities and just really good learning. And it's going to be a good evening. And when you think of the word holistic, what comes to mind? Any ideas? What comes to mind when you think of the word holistic? You can just raise your voice. All encompassing, exactly. It's coming from the word whole. And whole, there's a sense of, there are different parts associated with, and you want to make sure that they are integrated and working well. So that's really good. For those of you who are social media active and savvy, so you can use hashtag Global Holistic Wealth Day to post images and clips from this event. So feel free. On that note, I also want to say that this is actually another special day for Ottawa. It is Vimy Ridge Day, and it's very important in the history of Canada. It marks the anniversary of the Battle of Vimy Ridge, a defining moment for our nation. So let's take a brief moment of silence to honor the courage and sacrifice of those who fought for the freedoms that we enjoy today. Thank you. I'm going to now invite everyone to stand for the singing of our national anthem.
Our home and native land.
Thank you. Standing on guard. Please be seated. We are absolutely honored to have the support of the City of Ottawa for Global Holistic Wealth Day. And while he couldn't be here in person, the Mayor of Ottawa, Mark Sutcliffe, sent along a special message recognizing the importance of today's event and the incredible work being done to promote holistic wealth around the globe. So I'll take a moment and I will read the message from our mayor. I'm sorry I couldn't be here. I couldn't be there with you today. But I want to take a moment to thank all of you for being part of Global Holistic Wealth Day. This day is an important one, a reminder of the need for us all to focus on not just being financial well-being, but also our physical and emotional health. I also want to give a special thank you to Keisha Blair. Keisha's vision and efforts have had a profound impact on individuals around the world. And it's wonderful that this powerful movement began right here in Ottawa. Thank you for your commitment to these values and for helping to raise awareness about the importance of holistic wealth. I'm grateful for all the work you're doing to create stronger, healthier communities. From our mayor. Thank you so much, City of Ottawa, and it is inspiring that this movement has begun in the nation's capital in Ottawa. That's pretty awesome. Okay, so as we proceed, we're gonna have a prize drop. Who's feeling lucky? Okay, everybody's feeling lucky. I'm feeling lucky as well. So I have 3 questions and some prize associated with that. So please feel free to raise your hand or just say the answer. So the first question, I do have a co-host. She's by Ella. Is your hand? Yes, to be help the mic during the event as we're. So the first question is, listening? Which type of exercise has been scientifically proven to improve both mental and physical health? Is it A, strength, high intensity, A, B, C, D? You first. D, correct. It's correct. Thank you so much. Your name? Dan. Thank you, Dan. So Ella, if you could bring Dan one of the diaries at the under that table, that's great. Thank you, Dan. All right. Number 2. Yes, give him the blue one. Number 2. How does self-care contribute to wealth? A, prevents burnout, allowing you to perform better. It wastes time that could be used working. It is unnecessary when you're stressed. It's unrelated. Hey, I heard. There you are. There's another diary. Wow, this front table is kicking up a storm here. It's a lucky table. Are you the lucky table? Okay. And number 3. What is a powerful failure? Is it A, B, C, or D? Is learning, avoid trying to prevent disappointment, blame external factors, or only attempt things you can succeed in? Okay, I hear. I have to confess, I did hear it here first, but go Abigail, there's a workbook. Correct. There you go. And that's my table. It's feeling lucky too. So remember that initial invitation, guys? The front table seemed to be the lucky table. Okay, and this is a freebie now. Uh, the city of Ottawa is home to Canada's largest innovation hubs, helping entrepreneurs build wealth. What city is this? Is it Toronto, Vancouver, or Ottawa? You're correct. It's Ottawa. There you go. There is the go. There's another workbook. There you go. We're spreading the luck. So, in fact, just important fact, we have Invest Ottawa. Do we have any representatives from Invest Ottawa here as yet? Oh, there you are. Okay, welcome. So we have Invest Ottawa is a key organization that drives entrepreneurship, innovation, and wealth building in this very city. And their commitment to fostering economic growth and empowering business aligns perfectly with the mission of holistic wealth. So let's give a round of applause to our representative from Invest Ottawa. Awesome. Much for being here. And for the rest of us, if you have a business idea, you're looking for support and mentoring and all of that, we have an organization here in Ottawa. And what's the name? Invest Ottawa. No price for that one, but awesome. So we're having a really inspiring time. We have video talks, we have real talk as well, in-person talks and presentations, and you get to ask questions and participate, all right? We have activities, we have a game coming up. So we want this to be interactive and learning, all right? And that happens when you're participating. So at this point, we have our first 1 minute power video talk featuring Lauren Reigenger, a prominent businesswoman, entrepreneur, motivational speaker, and best-selling author. Lauren co-founded Market America, a global product brokerage and internet marketing company, and has been a driving force in empowering entrepreneurs around the world. Now let's turn your attention to the screen and listen to this message from Lauren.
The Global Holistic Wealth Day is so important for our heart, for our soul, for you, because it's an important time to take time to realize how important the journey is and how important it is to self-heal and how important it is to look in the mirror and realize that you're the one. You're the one who can make the difference. You're the one who has all the superpowers to win. You're the superwoman, the superman. You're the one who's capable of being and doing anything you want to do. And it's really up to you to make the decision that you have been the roadblock up until now, if there's been one. That you and only you can clear the way. That you and only you have to believe in yourself and know that you are not alone. That there's a community of people who support you, that love you, and who are in it with you. And that not only can we survive, but we can thrive. And I believe in you, and I know you can do it.
I'll just project. A businesswoman we're scared and there's fear when all the time in lives. So it's said, ensuring that we deal with our people in turn and we so we are now going to do a game show. Who wants to be wealthy? So I'm going to need 3 volunteers. And you may be thinking, well, what do I have to do if I come up here? So I'm going to tell you, all right? You're going to be coming up here. You're going to be answering about 5, 6 questions, but not alone. You can ask the audience to help you or even call a friend. And I'm going to get a prize. All right? So, who is feeling like they want to participate in this game show? Yes, I see some hands at the back. I see some hands. In the middle as well. Come on, we need at least 3 persons. There you go. Come on up. Woohoo! No, you're telling me that I'm imagining things, eh? Come on. Yes, what about you in the white? You look like you want. That was your hand I saw. Come on. Let's give her an applause. And I know Invest Ottawa would definitely not want to miss this opportunity. There you have 3, and we have 1 more. There you go. Yay! Invest Ottawa is getting in. Come on now. Excellent. So I just want to, Ella, where's my help? Do you have a mic? I would like you to give us your name so that we can call you by name because now you're part of the holistically wealthy family. So let's start with yes, can you tell us your name?
Yeah, I'm Paula Hopkins.
All right, welcome Paula. Good.
I'm Valdine, but I go by Val.
Val. Let's hear it. Come on, guys. Come on. Woohoo. Let's create some vibes in the room. And next?
I'm Michelle.
Michelle. Great. Do you live east or west or center Ottawa?
Well, right now I'm in Gatineau.
Oh, you're in Gatineau. Well, of course, or Gatineau. Thank you. And Dan?
I'm Uzi.
Oh, okay, that was
Dan.
What's that?
Uzi.
Uzi, welcome. Let's hear it for our brave participants. Very good. All right, so Ella, you can stay close by because now I'm going to be asking questions one by one. And then, as I said, you can ask for a lifeline, call somebody, call a friend. Okay, so these are going to be questions around holistic wealth, okay? So the first question, I'm going to start from my left to right. Okay, what is the recommended percentage of your income to save each month? 5, 10, 20, 30.
20.
Woohoo! She's correct. 20%. All right. I say you get a promotion at Invest Ottawa. All right, 20%. Now, question 2. Which activity is scientifically proven to reduce stress? Watching TV, eating junk food, practicing mindfulness, working extra hours. See, come on. Yay, good. All right, we're moving along nicely. What is the best way to improve emotional resilience? Okay, what is the key? Let's read what's on the screen, right? What is the key benefit of investing? Helps your money grow. B, guarantees wealth overnight. C, prevents all financial risk. D, it means you no longer
A.
A. I'm sure that's correct. Yes. Good. And next question. What is best way to improve emotional resilience? Ignore your emotions, seek support, practice self-care, work in longer hours, suppress stress with distractions.
B.
B, come on now. Woo-hoo. So first round, and we're in a tie. Good job. Next question. Holistic wealth is best described as A, B, C, D. Your MC is getting tired of reading. Accumulated wealth, financial asset and investment, achieving success in financial, emotional, physical, and social areas, living frugally, having multiple income streams.
B.
B, I would guess. Yes, B is the correct answer. Woohoo! All right, on a roll. Which of the following is the strongest indicator of financial health? A six-figure salary, I'll take that. A perfect credit score, positive cash flow and growing net worth, no debt whatsoever.
I would go with C.
C. Yes, awesome. You guys, you're well. Very. What is the biggest financial risk only on high income? What's the risk of focusing only on high income? A, inflation reduces purchasing power, doesn't guarantee financial stability, leads to higher tax burden, or prevents investment opportunities. What do you say?
I don't think I understand.
What is the big, when you focus too much on just making money, what is the do? Does it mean that inflation will reduce your purchasing power? That's why you're working so much. It doesn't guarantee financial stability. It leads to high taxes. Oh, this one. What is the biggest financial risk of focusing? I love this. We're talking. I don't know the answer either. I can't even help you. I'm just right. What do you say? Everyone who says A, raise your hand. B. Okay, B. C. I think B. Yes, B. You got it. The audience helped you. Yeah, come on. Okay, next question. That one was a brain twister. Which financial habit is most likely to lead to long-term wealth? Avoiding credit cards completely, saving a set percentage of income consistently, investing only in lower risk assets, tracking every single dollar spent.
B.
B, I think so too. Yay, B, okay. So we're now going into are we into the tiebreaker round, or we have two more rounds? Two more rounds? Okay, perfect. Next question. Which mindset shift is most important for achieving holistic wealth? Prioritize financial freedom, spending, earn as much money as possible before focusing on your health, working harder instead of smarter. Which mindset? What do you say?
I'm going to guess A.
Prioritizing. Yes! I wasn't sure on that one, so that's great. Prioritizing financial. Okay, next. A person with abundance mindset is most likely to be generous and believe opportunities are limitless, save aggressively and avoid unnecessary spending, focus on increasing income rather than managing expenses, assume financial success is mostly luck.
I'll go with A.
Yes. Let's see. Yes, A is correct. Well, I'm getting nervous now. How am I going to choose a winner? Let's go ahead. Which of the following is the least effective investment strategy? Holding cash instead of investing in assets? Investing in diverse asset classes for the long-term growth? Dollar cost average over time? Reinvesting dividends?
You said the least? A?
A. Yes, very good. Awesome. What is the primary reason most people fail to build wealth? I'd better pay attention to this one. Not making enough money, poor money management, and lack of financial education, high taxes, reducing disposable income. Yeah, that one is a good one. I, don't follow me. Not working hard enough. What's your answer?
B.
B, yes. Financial education. Awesome. I'm getting nervous, guys. You're so good. Do we have like 4 gifts here? I'm getting nervous. Okay, the last round. Which habit is most effective for emotional intelligence? Ignore emotions and stay focused. Practice self-awareness and adapt to challenges. Seek comfort through material rewards. Avoid stressful situations.
B.
Practicing self-awareness. Yes, very much correct. Okay, it's correct, it's correct. All right. A sign of long-term financial freedom. We're talking about long-term now. Being able to quit your job and never work again. Living with zero debt. That's good too. Investment portfolio. Yep, that's too. Having passive income that covers all living expenses. Is there an all of the above over there? Anyway, please don't listen. What is the strongest sign of long-term financial freedom? Which one will you choose?
Between C or D.
And you can ask the audience. You said between which ones?
C or D.
C or D. Okay, audience, all who say C, raise your hands. Who says D? Okay. So how do you feel? Are you good? Yeah. The audience is right. Exactly. All of the above. I'd go for that one. I'll take all of the above. Okay. Which of the following is the biggest risk when building multiple income streams? Not having time to enjoy the wealth, paying more tax, not having a guaranteed paycheck. Biggest risk. You can use your lifeline. Are you having 2 options in your mind?
Biggest risk?
Yes, of building when you have multiple income streams or many businesses. Say you have many businesses. What's the biggest risk of that? You pay more in taxes, you don't have time, you're spread too thin, or you don't have a guaranteed paycheck. What do you say, audience? A? All in favor of A? B? C? One C? C? Okay. C, raise your hand. All in favor of D? Look at that. You have to make a call. See? See? That's what I thought as well. You're spread too thin. You're not able to go deep, right? So that's a risk. All right. Goodness. What's the most powerful, most overlooked aspect of holistic wealth? Investing in the markets, prioritizing mental and physical health, having high credit score, or achieving home ownership?
B.
B, yes. All righty. Now, I've got to break ties now. Do we have a really tough question? Because these participants, they're really on point when it comes to holistic wealth. So let me see if I have some really tough questions here.
Well,
I say we just-
I'll make it easier. I'll bow out and give it.
Oh. Invest Ottawa. Thank you, Paul. Awesome. Okay, so here's a question. Are we going to, can I read it? Okay, perfect. I'll read it. And what I'll do is whoever says it first, or whoever, no, let's make it. Whoever raises their hands first and says the right answer, okay?
We should put something on the ground and then we run, grab it, and
She wants to make this.
so it's fair.
Oh. They are throwing down the gauntlet here. Well, I didn't bring any insurance for the event today, so let's just use the hand. And don't put your hand up and then think. You gotta put your hand up first. You're saying it, okay? All right. So, but you have to let me read all the options first. Okay. And then, question. You receive an unexpected $50,000 today. There it is. What is the smartest first step to maximizing holistic wealth? Okay.
I'll go with C.
See, you first raise your hands. I don't know. Yay! We have a winner, ladies and gentlemen. Yay! So congratulations. I have your prize here. I know, eh? So congratulations. There you go. Awesome. Yes. Enjoy. And I have to confess that the rest of you do participation prizes, but I have to confess I completely forgot which gift is for who, so I'll make sure you get it in the break. So thank you so much. Another big round of applause to our participants on Who Wants to Be Holistically Wealthy. And audience, you can say that you were here for the very first time that this game was played, all right? So give yourself a hand as well. As our afternoon continues, up next, we have a second video. Who is this? We are honored to feature two messages from two visionary leaders in the health and wellness space. Aston Farquharson is CEO of New Species Corporation, and Jillian Pilicho, Senior Vice President. The business is based in New York and is at the forefront of revolutionizing how we think about health, vitality, and longevity. Aston and Jillian have worked with thousands of individuals, empowering them to reclaim their health naturally and powerfully highlighting how physical well-being is a foundation for financial and emotional wealth. What's the point of money in the bank account if you're not healthy to enjoy it? So we've got to be holistic, right? From skyrocketing prescription costs to the rise of chronic illnesses, their message today is a compelling reminder that your health is wealth, and nutrition plays a critical role in building both. So let's turn our attention to the screen. Thank you.
Your good health will translate to your financial wealth.
We've seen people with prescriptions that can cost over $800 a month, just the copay alone. That's enough to make you sell a home, get a second mortgage, put yourself into debt.
I've come across many clients who have to sell their homes to pay for prescription drugs that the insurance will not pay for.
People don't think about how nutrition impacts brain health and how all of those hormones and glands work to produce chemicals that create our emotional experience and our cognitive functioning.
And cancer is on the rise, especially among young people. Take care of your health, because cancer is on the rise. It's not just cancer, it's other diseases as well. and it will translate into you living a better, longer life.
And that is why we value and see the mission of Global Holistic Wealth Week, because we see the part that your physical health can play in the rest of your opportunities to create wealth in your life.
Let's give a hand. Very sobering message, having to sell your house, the largest investment for most people to save your life. So let's be preventative. You know, an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. I always think of, what's his name, the founder of Apple, and he's a late Steve Jobs, right? If money could buy wealth, he would be with us today. You know, so sometimes we take it for granted that we're able to get up and out of bed and go to work or even clean our room, you know, but if you're not able to do that, then what's the point of a big bank account? And hence, while we have Global Holistic Wealth Day. So we have our next speaker who is in person, Domenico Slucci. And let me just introduce Domenico to you. We are going to dive deeper, and he's going to unpack a bit more as our first guest speaker in terms of looking after the financial side. He's a financial advisor with IG Wealth Management. He has dedicated his career to helping individuals and families build strong financial futures. With a passion for wealth management and financial planning, Dominic is here to share valuable insights that will empower you to break past limitations and step into the wealth you deserve. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a warm welcome to Domenico Slucci.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dominic. First of all, I want to thank Lindsay and Nisha for all your help today. I really appreciate it. I started with IG Wealth Management back in 1998. I had a lot more hair back then. It's all good now. I really want to touch upon some of the things that you said, Natalie, about holistic. My mom always said, health is your wealth. It's different in Italian, but the message is really there. You cannot bring it with you. But while we're here, we should take care of our own home in terms of financial planning. So that's what I want to touch upon today. I'm going to fire this up. And while I do, Keisha's asked me to talk about a few things, the elephant in the room, which is tariffs, recession, bear market correction. So bring back manufacturing to the U.S. We're lucky in Canada, quote unquote lucky, in that we are part of the trade agreement that was signed during the first Trump administration. 98% of our products are not taxed or tariffed. Unfortunately, the 2% that is tariffed are important industries. So A few statistics. Lumber was tariffed by the first Trump administration at 14%. Biden kept it, and today another 25% has been tacked on. Other critical industries such as pharmaceuticals, aluminum, steel, just these two, aluminum and steel, represent 4% of our exports. And I think the most complicated industry today is the auto sector. It's hugely intertwined, and what has to happen now is that every single part has to be coded for country of origin as it goes through the whole tariff process. So it's an extremely complicated and time because of these tariffs. The other term that you're hearing now is recession. There is no pinpoint definition of a recession. What you'll hear often is that it's 2 quarters of negative growth, 2 quarters of negative GDP. And during a recession, what will you see happening? Unemployment starts to go up, consumer sentiment starts to go down. Right now you have unemployment in the States at about 4.1%. They added 330,000 jobs last March, whereas Canada lost 33,000 jobs. Our unemployment is at 6.6. Back in January, Bank of Canada forecast about 1.8 growth in our GDP, in our gross domestic market. That will probably be revised now because of the tariffs, but we'll have to see. It's a very gray zone. I don't know if you heard, the markets are volatile today. They've had a big upswing with a 90-day pause on tariffs and some tariff reductions. Another thing you see during a recession is what they call an inverted yield curve, and what that means is that interest rates, short-term interest rates are higher than long-term interest rates. Usually it's reverse. When you lock up your money for a longer term, interest rates are higher. We don't have an inverted yield curve at the moment. So for right now, today, we do not have a recession. We'll see in the weeks, the months to come, and we'll see what happens with these tariffs. Obviously, we need to reach a trade agreement which is fair for all, and if we can, a recession will be avoided. But make no mistake, things will not go back to normal here in Canada. We have a long memory, and I'm sure there are folks who won't be going back to Florida. I'm sure there's folks who aren't going to be buying that bottle of bourbon anymore, even though everything's back to normal. People have a long memory, and that's going to hurt the U.S. It's not going to hurt us. The other terms you're hearing are bear market, correction. So think of a correction is that you've fallen from a high in the market, whether it be here in Canada, the Toronto Stock Exchange, the Dow Jones, the NASDAQ, the FTSE in London, England, where you have fallen from a high of 10% or more, which we have. So we reached our high on February 18th, and we have fallen more than 10%. A bear market is a fall of 20% or more. We haven't hit that yet. Before today, with this tremendous run-up, we were at about 16% in the Dow Jones and about 12% in Toronto. The NASDAQ, which is a stock market in New York where the majority of high-tech stocks are listed, that is in a bear market. Just for information, why is it called a bull market? Well, when times are good, bulls charge, so the market charges forward. Why do we call it a bear market, Natalie? Because bears hibernate, they retreat in the winter, and that's why those terms. So you can see on the screen, bull markets last longer than bear markets, typically 5-6 years, whereas a bear market is only about 15 months. You can see visually the bear markets don't last long. Part of the reason is that in a bear market with prices so low, all that money that's on the side is going to come back in, and there's this fear of missing out. And I think part of the reason the markets went up today was the fear of missing out on these prices. You also need to stay invested. And I know it's psychological. I know it's hard. Human beings have this fight or flight that's built up in them. And you might be tempted to flee to safety, or as I say, to get off your investment bus and say, well, I'll get back in there when the markets recover. Folks, that bus will have taken off without you. You have to stay invested. Obviously, if you need the money tomorrow morning, you shouldn't have been in the markets. That's why you need to match your time frame for investing with your risk tolerance. But just a couple of stats here. You take somebody who 20 years ago stayed in the markets in 2020, avoided, they didn't panic, so they didn't worry about the Asian currency crisis. They didn't worry about subprime. Interest rates went up in 22, came back down. They just stayed invested, and their 10,000 is almost quintupled. But if you miss just one good week, your return suffers. If you stay out of the markets for the best 5 weeks, again, your return is going to suffer. So you need to stay in there. Stay on the bus. Don't get off the bus, because it'll take off quickly. Researching for this presentation, I saw some statistics out of COVID, which really turned the world upside down, and we're still trying to recover from it today. So on March 12th, 2020, was the second largest loss for 2020. Do you know when the second biggest gain was for 2020? The next day. And you have an example just from yesterday and today. So don't panic. Stay on the bus. And this is all, Dom, I'm not going to invest because the Korean War is going on. We got the Cuban Missile Crisis. When I joined, we had Y2K, we had U.S. debt, we had Crimea annexed, the Chinese devaluated their currency, COVID 2022. But for folks who are visual like me, you see the markets continue to go up, they're efficient, and there are these little moments where we have a bear or a correction. And the declines are substantial in some cases. If you look at the worst one, 1987, the market was down 45.9%. And a year later recovered 33, and a year later 54. So things turn around, and they turn around quite quickly. And I often tell people I don't manage money. I have to manage people's emotions too, so that they don't do the wrong thing at the wrong time. And volatility, it's part of the market. If you want to have risk-adjusted, inflation-protected returns, volatility is going to be part of your investment history. So this was done before Mr. Trump and the tariffs. We've had a correction 26 times where the markets dropped by more than 10%. One more, Larry. 27 times in the last 66 years, and now 9 times in the last 22 years. But if you stay in the market, next slide, from 1956 and put $10,000, you'd have back in 2022 $3 million. You've seen these slides before to stay in the markets. Don't panic, and you'll be rewarded. This next one is really important. It's about diversification, and people are always trying to find the next hot sector. Is it energy? Is it real estate? Is it information technology? Is it U.S. equities? Is it Canadian equities? Next slide. And every year is special, and one more. And one more. So every year is special, and I cut this off at 2022. And I'm going to ask a little trivia question now. So for 2023, what was the best performing sector? It was communication services. 2024, infotech. What's the worst one this year? Last year's winner, tech. So every year there is a sector it's going to dominate, and you can't put all your apples in that one. You can't put all your money in marijuana stocks back in the day. You can't put all your money in gold. You got to be diversified. And I'm going to hit that on the head over and over again. So let's go to the next slide. So that's what's going on in the market. So if I could just summarize, I know it's quite maddening. There's all kinds of emotions. There's nativism going on down there. There's protectionism going on down there. But you got to stick with your plan. You can't panic and get out and get off the bus, as I've said. So what can we do? Well, what we can do is get our own house in order. And all of us have dreams for the future. Your health. Mom says health is wealth, and it truly is. Goals for the future. When I retire, I'm going to be doing a lot of traveling. Some clients are big ticket purchases. 2 weeks, one of my clients bought an RV and plans to travel across Canada. Other clients, their kids are getting, trying to apply for their first mortgage, their first home. Other clients are having kids. Some families want to make sure that their estate gets passed on correctly, appropriately. And we all have women in our lives, and this next slide is important. I just want to throw some statistics about women. So my pop died a few years ago, and he was one of the 80% of men who died while they were married. And mom probably will die single. So what does that mean? Well, it meant a reduced amount of income for my mom from pensions, foreign pensions from Italy. How do we plan for that? 60% of women in their prime earning years don't have a financial plan. Zip. And women are under a lot of pressure these days. They're part of that sandwich generation where they're trying to help the kids, but mom's not feeling good. I gotta go and bring her to these appointments, or she might be in a long-term facility. I watched it with my in-laws and my wife before they passed. So I know the pressure that's on women, and as men, we gotta step up to the plate and do a better job, frankly. And because of that, we don't have full, not yet, but we're getting there, full participation of women in the workforce, and following that, women are making a fraction of what men are making. Women, unlike men, feel comfortable discussing medical issues with their doctor, but vice versa, they don't feel comfortable talking to a professional about their money matters. So that's got to change, and we in the advisorial community have to do a much better job. So for me, everything's about goal setting. What are your goals? Client a few weeks ago, Dom, I'm 48. I got 12 years left till I retire. I got a government pension. What do you think? Do you think I'll have enough? These are going to be my expenses during retirement. There could be some big ticket purchases, and these are my investments. So that was his plan that I had to prepare. But there's all kinds of other goals. Staying healthy, leaving a legacy to your kids. When I retire, is that money enough? Is it going to be stretched? Protecting your assets from taxes, from the tax man especially. Trying to maintain a certain lifestyle, making it last. We'll see that again and again. And things change. Dom, I got married. I got to talk to you about a mortgage. Dom, I got divorced. I got to talk to you, unfortunately. But things change. We have kids. We want to start putting money away for their education. We have parents who are trying to help their kids with a down payment on a house. Change is always going to be there, so you have to keep in touch with clients. This next slide, it's maybe one of the most important. Our two big purchases are our home, our house, and we get insurance for them. Great. But we forget or don't do a good job. Next one left, thanks. We don't do a good job on this next section, which is ourselves. We have to insure ourselves, right? Your ability to have the type of life that you have is based on your ability to earn income. And if that income, something happens, unfortunately you pass away, or you are disabled, or you get sick, or you fall, unfortunately, to a critical illness, or you're older and you have to go into a long-term care facility. You need to have these types of insurance in place. Now, quick question, how many of you have heard of critical illness and long-term care insurance? Okay, about 3/4. So for those who have not come across critical illness is a lump sum payment of money. If I am diagnosed with cancer, but there are 26 covered conditions, and I survive 30 days, I will be paid a lump sum. What do I do with that lump sum? Maybe it'll help me afford experimental drugs. Maybe I have to make modifications to my home because I had a stroke. You can use it for whatever you wish, and it's tax-free. Long-term care is different. You reach a certain age and you can't do daily living tasks. You can't feed yourself, bathe, get into bed, get out of bed, continence, mental faculties. If two of those things are not working, you will be paid a weekly amount. And with that weekly amount, it'll help you if you have to go into a long-term facility, or you want to stay in your home but you want to hire a nurse or a professional. So this is one of the most important slides in my presentation today. And in terms of, there'll be different times in your life where you're making more money, you have mortgages, your need for insurance will be higher, and then at a certain point that need will dip. And then during retirement, you're thinking, I got to protect these assets from taxes, and that amount will grow. So the risk, it's different depending on which point you are in life. Let's continue with this chat about tomorrow. Half of you in here don't have a will. You don't. It's really important to have a will. If you die without a will, it is a legal mess. Why do you need a will? If you get a will, you can choose your representative. Couple more, Larry. Thanks. This is the person, your executor, who will help you out, distribute your assets. You'll have the ability for a fair distribution. Well, Dom, I got 2 kids, half to the girl, half to the boy. It never works that way sometimes. Example. My son lives in Ottawa. I have a cottage. My daughter lives in Vancouver. I leave the cottage to them. Well, the child out west will never leave it. So you have to equalize the estate somehow. Maybe you have a child with special needs. Who's going to take care of your kids if something happens to you both? Well, we got godparents. They'll take care of them. No, you have to have a will. You got to put the guardian in the will. And if you pass away and your children are still minors, how do you want that money distributed? You want to have a trust set up. Maybe you want them to get everything at age 18, but maybe you don't. Maybe one of those kids is a spendthrift, and you might say, Sally, you're getting the money at 18, 25, and 40. Like, if you don't have a will, you can't prepare for these kinds of conditions. So I'm not a lawyer. I don't make money telling you to get a will. It's just good common sense. All right, so let's talk about retirement. These are all the sources of where a retirement quote-unquote paycheck can come from. So we have in Canada since '67 the Canada Pension Plan, and if you live in Quebec, the Quebec Pension Plan. Traditionally, people apply for it at 65. You can apply for CPP at age 60 with a 36% reduction. And 1% of Canadians who have applied at age 70 are getting 40% more, but that's just 1% of Canadians who have done that. The majority is the traditional 63, 64, 65. For Canadians and landed immigrants who have lived in Canada for 40 years past the age of 18, you are entitled to old age security, which today is $727. If you're like a cousin of mine who worked for 20 years in Canada, moved to Italy, he gets 20/40ths of his old age security mailed to him in Italy in the form of a check. So those are the rules for old age security. You'll have some income from investments. You might be like me. I might be working at the LCBO. I'm a big wine aficionado. You might be working part-time. You might have a business which pays some income. You might have an annuity or a pension. And there's also, since the late 50s, the Registered Retirement Savings Plan. It's been around since the 50s, but it really didn't take off till the early 90s. The S in RRSP stands for savings. And when you decide to take income, you will convert those same monies to a registered retirement income fund. You can delay taking your first payment in the RIF at age 72, but you can take it earlier than that, and they have minimum amounts that you must take out. So if you have 100,000 in a RIF and today you're 72, the percentage minimum that you have to take out is 5.38% or 5380. Sorry, did you have a question? After, okay. You're saving it. So on the next slide, I'm going to start going over the theme of life expectancy and how money has to last. Keisha, I will be turning 60 next year. On average, my cohort can expect to live till age 83. Half of us will live more than that, but on average, 83. A 60-year-old female, on average, will live till age 86. What does this mean? People are afraid of running out of money, or they have that money, but they can't have the lifestyle that they want. So 58% are worried about making their funds stretch for those years, and 64% are having trouble balancing the retirement and making money last. And you do see this situation. A clear example is parents trying to help their kids today retirement for the rest of their years. So, next slide. So, before retirement, we're focused on accumulating, saving every month. And next slide. You hit retirement and that money is distributed to you. Big difference in terms of volatility, time frame. So right now, we have volatility. People who are buying now are buying at very cheap prices. They're making that volatility work for them, and they got time on their hands. Once that distribution starts, that volatility works against you. And this is one of the big mistakes I see in the planning community is clients are taking out, round number, $100 a month from their RIF, so their portfolio goes down. Then Mr. Trump announces tariffs and their portfolio goes down. And there's no strategy on how they can get around that volatility. So it's a big challenge during retirement years to make sure that volatility doesn't work against the client. I love working with young people. Why? Because they got time on their hands. They got the time. So Larry, let's go through the different screens. You're young. You don't have a lot of money. Dom, I don't have a lot of money. A couple more. $3,000 a year is $250 a month. Next one. Hit next. Nope. Okay. So you put away $3,000 a year from the ages of 22 to 36. You're going to have $45,000. And you say, well, Dom, I'm 36 now. Things are tight. I got a mortgage. I got kids. I got this. I got that. I'm going to stop investing. No more money. And for the next 29 years, they don't put another dime in. So they have $335,000 at age 65. Not bad. Person B starts investing at age 41, $3,000 a year for 24 years, and will have invested $75,000. Keep on trucking. There we go. So they got $75,000. They're now 65. They've invested $75,000. How much money is that $75,000 worth at age 65? 162 almost. But Dom, I want to have the same as my brother, my younger brother, who's 65. How much do I have to put in? Well, you got to double down. You got to put 6,200 a year between ages 41 to 65. You'll have to put in 155,000 to end up with the same amount. So time, this person invested the least, but time is such a wonderful multiplier and can help you generate wealth. So I always tell young people, don't worry that you only have 50 bucks, 100, 200 bucks a month. You're 22. The money will work by itself. You got time on your hands. So let's go to the next slide. And a couple more taps. Thank you. Your spending habits will change when you're retired. You got the client I told you about who bought the RV, the Winnebago, and his assets, his spending spikes up. Mom redid the bathroom, her spending spiked up. But as the years go by, that spending will calm down, and at a certain point of time, money will be needed for health care, for assistance, long-term facility. So your needs aren't going to be uniform when you are retired. You're not going to be traveling every single year. Things will change. You'll fix the bathroom, you'll fix the kitchen, but after that, things will calm down in terms of spending, and then they might spike up in terms of healthcare. And let's talk about the biggest destroyer of wealth in this country, which are taxes. So just a quick slide on understanding taxes. I've used the worst case scenario. You're in a 54% tax bracket. Your bank or IG gave you $1,000 in interest income. You're going to keep $465 of it. It's highly taxed is interest. But Dom, I invest in U.S. companies that pay dividends. That's fine, but you get no break. You're going to keep $465. What about my dividend fund that invests in Canadian stocks that produce dividends? Well, now we're talking. You get a dividend tax credit. Instead of keeping $465, you're going to keep $607. Capital gains. Capital gain means you purchase something, call it a pencil, for $1,000, and you sold it for $2,000, that pencil, and you made a $1,000 capital gain. And right now, who knows next to government? It could be wiped out, could be increased, who knows. But right now, that person who made $1,000 profit on that pencil will keep $732. What about the $1,000 that of my own money that I use to buy the pencil? Is that taxable? No. That's just a return of capital. The next slide, I could have spent a whole hour on it. Another destroyer of wealth is inflation. So if you went to your favorite hamburger joint back in the 60s, picked up a burger, fries, a milkshake, 52 cents. It's now about $16. So, question, has your income gone up 33 times? Has your house gone up 33 times? Have your investments gone up 33 times? If they have not, inflation is eroding your financial situation. The next one deals with advice. And Larry, let's go to a couple more clicks here. According to Serrano, folks who use an advisor do better. It's common sense. It's logical. The government changes rules every other day. New products come in, the TFSA, the first time home buyers plan. Life insurance is taxed this way one day, the next day it's taxed a different day. Your dividend income is taxed this way, and then they get rid of this. It drives me crazy. I can't imagine for the public who aren't involved in this how they're doing. But if you're not getting any advice, if you're not being told about what's going on out there, your outcome will suffer. So I hope everyone is working with somebody, because if you're not, your assets won't grow as much. So what do we do at Investors Group Wealth Management? First of all, we want to know, what are your hot buttons? What's bothering you? What are you concerned about? Let's take a big picture. Are you paying too much tax? Do you have proper life insurance? Do you have disability insurance? And then we put together a plan. And a plan is useless if you don't put it in practice. And things change. Nothing stays the same. Look what's happened in the last 4 or 5 months with Trump. So things change with it. So we have industry-leading software, the IG Living Plan. We look at what your potential retirement paycheck could be in the future. We look at your pension plan. We look at your benefits at work, how those change. We look at your liabilities, and we try to put together something that makes sense. We provide an alternative whereby, I don't know, inflation is higher. Next slide. Inflation is higher, the markets, you got married, you now have a mortgage. How much insurance should you have now that you have a mortgage? And things like that. So next year, Investors Group Wealth Management is going to be celebrating 100 years. When I started in 97, it was called Investors Group. I remember they used to chisel the IG out of rock. 100 years ago, it was called Investors Group Syndicate out of Winnipeg. And we had one fund, the dividend fund. That's it. That's all we offered back then. Today, we don't offer any funds. We've outsourced it. Who are the best money managers in the world? You guys take care of our clients' money. So companies like Buell Goodman here in Canada, or Franklin Templeton around the world, or folks who take care of fixed income, PIMCO, et cetera, et cetera. We are not a life insurance company, but we have established relationships with Canada's top insurance companies, be it the Canada Life's, Manulife, RBC Life, Sun Life, and a few weeks ago, Industrial Alliance. We also offer mortgages and banking products through Equitable Bank. So before I finish, I just want to use, I've changed the name, changed the picture, a case study. So we have Susan, who's approaching retirement, corporate executive, unfortunately recently divorced, paying the alimony to her ex, trying to take care of her mom, trying to take care of her son's expenses for graduate school. Makes a good salary. She's making 150 plus a bonus. Has 850 in assets, tax-free savings accounts, non-registered, and an RSP. And she's concerned, you know, with these expenses now and alimony and my son, do I have enough to retire? Is there anything else I should be doing? So we do a checkup. Let's take a look at the big picture. Let's make sure We have the different sources. You're going to be using this, and this at retirement. These are the taxes you'll pay. One of the things I suggested was having an emergency fund. Don't want to be taking money out of the markets or out of our portfolio when things are going down. Not that I knew that this would happen, but it's good to have an emergency fund, not just for bad things, but if she wants to go on a trip or something, she's not cashing out her investments. Again, portfolio, making sure that we focused on dividends, capital gains, which are more tax friendly. And like I said, she had her mom in a facility and she's wondering, am I going to be facing these types of costs? I don't know, does anybody know what a long-term care costs? It's outrageous in this city. So she's got a long-term care plan, so if she can't take care of herself, she will get $1,000 a week, $4,000 a month. You add her CPP and old age security, she'll be able to pay it, but her assets will be passed on to the kids. She's not going to be draining assets. So she has a long-term care insurance in place. So this is why I'm in the business. I want clients to have a clear picture. This is where we're going. I got my roadmap. I have peace of mind, and there's that word, holistic financial plan, not just went to the bank and bought my TFSAs, but make sure that everything is covered. And she's dealing with someone who's going to call her periodically. I never want to hear, Dom, I haven't heard from you in 2 years. I haven't heard from you in 3 years. I'll never want to hear that. So you have to have someone who's proactive because stuff it just changes, not just Trump, but rules, regulations, etc. Thank you. You got off the bus. Not you, but a friend.
But not me, but let's just say, not me, but yeah. Not completely got off the bus, but partly off the bus. What do we do then?
And that's where I reverse things.
Okay.
I tell the client, I go, you're going to get off the bus. This is your choice, right?
Okay.
It wasn't mine. So the next choice is also going to be yours. You tell me when you're going to get back on the bus. So I flip that responsibility back to the client because they've taken that big step to get off the bus, which I didn't agree with. Right. And so the onus now is on you because I don't know the future.
If it was you, what would you do?
I would have never left the markets.
Okay, but if
You don't want to see my investment portfolio. I'm 100% equities. I believe in the markets. You don't want to see my portfolio. My wife, she said, should I look at it? I go, no.
So you don't look at it?
I look at it.
Not every day?
No, I don't look at it every day. No. I look at Keisha's portfolio more than I look at mine, for example. Right? Because I worry more. This is the way I'm built. I worry more about the client's money than I worry about my own. Because I like to be in control, and I know my stuff's going to be okay. I can manage my emotions. I don't have any emotions about my portfolio. Because I know in 2 years, 1 year, 6 months, 4 years, we'll be back to even better place. I know that. But like I said at the beginning, I'm not just managing money. I have to manage people's emotions and make sure they don't do the wrong. Like I'm a psychologist at most appointments these days.
If you were me, would you run after the bus now and try to get back on it?
let's reverse this. You never had a bus, and you've come into an inheritance, and you are super tempted to take your inheritance because the markets have plummeted and get 100% on that bus. If that was my mom, I'd say, Mom, take a little baby step today and get on that bus. And another baby step. Don't enter the market, a very volatile situation. Don't put all your chips back on the bus. I'd get back on that bus slowly, a little bit of a time. I don't know when the market bottom is. I don't know when the point where we've reached maximum pessimism, we've reached it here. This is the time to buy. If I knew that point, if I had a crystal ball, where I'd be in Jamaica. I'd be in Jamaica. Okay? So we've had this dip, and right now we're here, and today we got a little bit up. It could possibly dip down. So I would have various entry points. I wouldn't put all my chips today or tomorrow. My son was asking me the same thing. He has a little stash on the side. He goes, should I put it all in? I go, no. When should I put it in? Put a little bit today, wait a week or two, put a little bit tomorrow, in 2 weeks. And if in 2 weeks the market's taken off and you're buying higher, blame your old man. But at least I know that if in 2 weeks the market had gone even further down, he'd have an even better entry point. So to answer your question, using the case of someone who's never been on the bus, I'd get slowly back on that bus. I just don't know the future. And I don't know the short-term future. The long-term future, you saw the graphs, voom, voom, and I know that future. This reminds me of September 11th. More than COVID, September 11th had just big drops. And a buddy of mine who's older, he goes, this will probably go on for 3 weeks. That was September 11th now. Yeah, so if you've gotten off the bus, you want to get back on, I don't know, don't put it all on at once. Get back in a little bit at a time. A little bit at a time. And if this week was the time, you should have all gone back in, and you've put in a bit today and a bit in 2 weeks and a bit in 4 weeks, and the prices are now higher. Blame me. Blame me. Blame me. But you got to be cautious in this type of, because then it's no longer investing, it's you're speculating. You're not, yeah. So you've heard of dollar cost averaging, where you put your money in every month at different price points, and you'll average out if you buy at 3 and you buy at 7, your average price is 5. Like you smooth out the highs and the lows. That's what I'm asking you to do, is to smooth out the highs and the lows. Everybody wants to buy at the bottom, but I don't know. I'll come by and see you. I'll leave it on for you. I'll see you in Jamaica.
See you in Jamaica. Ladies and gentlemen, let's thank Domenico. That was an excellent presentation, and I love your responses. Very practical. All right, should I? Okay, there you go. Now, Domenico will be here for the networking session, so please see him afterwards. I had some questions for him as well, and hearing today the markets went up, I was like, Natalie, because I kept saying, I gotta buy now, and now, so it's one of those things, but very important. If we fail to plan, we are planning to fail. +2, no, what's up?
+2,900 points.
There you go. I just missed all of that gain. Okay. At this point, we have, let me finish that point. If we fail to plan, by default, we're planning to fail. So we can't do anything about the past. They said the best time to invest is yesterday, and the next best time is today. All right? So water under the bridge, moving forward. Thank you. So thanks again, Dominico. Really appreciate that. And years of real experience. So definitely trusted in that regard. And on that note, I need some drum roll from you. Come on. We have the fireside chat coming up with two wonderful guests. And it is my pleasure to introduce the woman who is synonymous with holistic wealth. She's a best-selling author, an economist, and a global leader in financial empowerment and personal resilience. And I'm thinking, how did I get this lucky that she's also my friend? Keisha and I go back over 2 decades. We actually worked together in the Feds. And it's just been an amazing journey to see her life and how she has just made choices, intentional choices to empower others. And so her work has transformed the way we think about wealth, not just in dollars, but in purpose, well-being, and impact. Now, everyone, let's give a warm welcome to the indomitable Keisha Blair. Come on, we can do better. I need a hug.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. A happy Global Holistic Wealth Day. It's such an honor to celebrate this day with you all. Now, before we get into the fireside chat with Jessica, I just wanted to give you a quick overview of how this day came about. So we've heard a lot about health, wealth, resilience, and those are indeed, the key pillars of holistic wealth. So many years ago, my husband died. I remember on this day, April 9th, walking out of the Queensway Carleton Hospital holding a white plastic bag in my hands. And in that white plastic bag were his belongings, his wedding ring, his jewelry, everything that you could say on his person on that day held significant value. Now, you can imagine me walking out of the hospital holding a white plastic bag. Now, that picture is, it's etched in my mind. And as we talk about wealth and health and the importance of all the pillars of holistic wealth, what dawned on me as I walked out of that hospital was that these things are fleeting, that physical wealth. What is important? These relationships in this room, our most valued loved ones, the way we plan and live intentionally. And so that's what started this whole journey of holistic wealth. So when you think about Global Holistic Wealth Day, that's literally how it started. It started on this day, on April 9th, with me walking out of that hospital and deciding that, number one, I would use this tragedy for the good of humanity. And I said to myself, if I can use this experience to enrich other people's lives, then his life and that death would not be in vain. And I remember thinking, how are you going to do this? I don't know. I didn't even think about a book. I didn't think about becoming an author. I just knew I needed to spread this message urgently. So I'm here thanking God. I've been enjoying this whole program, and I'm thankful to each and every one of you who turned up to make this launch in this national capital region happen. So let me just give you a quick overview. We launched Global Holistic Wealth Day in 2020, I think, or 2021, with the launch of this expanded and updated book. And I remember the first year, I sat there posting on social media, just me, with the hashtag, nobody really joining in. And I thought, yeah, this is fine. Next year it will grow. And I sat there year after year, just posting. And then last year, something really powerful happened. It went viral. And I got up on April 9 last year, and I saw children in India singing in schools. I saw business events happening in Ireland. For instance, this one, there's the mayor of a city in Ireland. I don't remember exactly which city, but this is a business enterprise hub for entrepreneurs, and they launched that on Global Holistic Wealth Day last year. And this was so powerful too. Can we just go back to this slide for a second? Because when I saw this, this was funded by the UK government. And I thought to myself, when I saw this, I was like, but we have nothing like this in the capital. And here's a mayor launching a business hub for entrepreneurs in Ireland. So I was like, we have to have something here. And exactly. And I reached out to the mayor. That's why the mayor got involved. And I was like, listen, we have to do something. Here's something going on in Ireland. And it's funded by the UK government. So that's what happened. And then the next slides are basically just, like celebrations all over the world. That's Girls Gone Active, a group in the US. And of course, that's the health portion. They're getting fit. And there are a few more. So this just happened last week. This was the city of Belleville celebrating Global Holistic Wealth Day. And of course, we have several proclamations now with mayors across North America who've signed proclamations declaring April 9th as Global Holistic Wealth Day. Thank you. So this has been a tremendous journey. It has been one of grief that has transformed into one of love, one of community, one of wanting to just empower everyone around. And so it started under the auspices of the Institute on Holistic Wealth, which I founded, and then we started training certified holistic wealth consultants. And then, of course, it's just blossomed from there. But I wanted to give you this background and this origin story so that you have like this, this sense of how critical this is and kind of why this is so important, why we all need to embrace holistic wealth. And so as I get ready to introduce Jessica for this fireside chat, now Jessica has a national best-selling book that also features my story in it. And I couldn't think of a better person to do this fireside chat with today than Jessica. 5 years ago, I was on Jessica's podcast. She had me. I had her on mine. We've been supporting each other ever since, but she has been doing some amazing work in the space. She's an award-winning podcaster, an award-winning money content creator, a licensed financial counselor, an on-air TV money expert. And so this has come together in a way that's just unbelievable. And I know Jessica agrees. But everyone, I want to get into this next segment because Dom spoke about the psychology of money, and that's what we're going to get into now because that part is so critical. And I think Natalie and I, as economists, know that all too well. So if you could just put your hands together for Jessica Moorhouse, that would be great. Thank you, everyone. Let me just stay on this side. Yes, I'll just bring this here.
One, two. Oh, there we go.
Jessica, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me and that lovely introduction. I'm so, you're such an inspiration. That's why I wrote about you in my book. So I'm so pleased to celebrate this wonderful day with you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I just mentioned, and I know most of you in the room have never heard about Jessica's book, about her story. So I'll just give you a chance to just explain to everyone how you came about the idea, the inspiration behind your book.
So yes, so I'm the author of a book that just came out on December 31st, New Year's Eve, called Everything But Money, The Hidden Barriers Between You and Financial Freedom. And been working on it for the past couple years. And it was really inspired by, the past decade of talking with Canadians and people all over the world about their relationships with money. But also as a financial counselor, I also work with clients one-on-one. And most clients, they come to me because they want to learn how to budget or they have a cash flow issue. It's a money problem they come to me for. And we would work together and it would become very obvious that it wasn't just about money. It was sometimes about everything but money. And so when it came time to, I've always wanted to write a book, being a podcaster, I've interviewed hundreds of authors. I'm like, man, that would be really cool one day. And then the opportunity presented itself. And initially, the idea I pitched to the publisher I went with was a more traditional finance book. But I had one line in the book that said, I'm going to, talk about some of the interconnections between your relationship with money and trauma and behavior and societal injustices, and then blah, 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 blah. And they're like, oh, no, that's what we want. Can you write a whole book on that? I'm like, sure. Sure I can. And I'm so glad that's the direction it took because I feel like not only was this the book that I needed to write for others, it was the book that I needed to write for myself. I did a lot of introspection with my own relationship with money, which I thought was relatively healthy, and it actually wasn't super healthy. Did a lot of therapy, did a lot of interviews with people who followed me just so I can get these real stories from real people from the US and Canada about how money makes them feel and what were some of the lessons they learned growing up that maybe aren't really helping them, they're holding them back. And so it kind of became this journey of, self-discovery, but also really laying out a guidebook for how you can discover more about yourself, your money, and then how to kind of break things down so you can rebuild it. So that's kind of the book in a nutshell.
Awesome. And I remember seeing this article, I don't remember where, but it was talking about there's this negative emotion. I think it's the number one negative emotion when it comes on to money, and that's shame.
Yeah.
And it's so unbelievable. When we talk about Dom's presentation, we talk about women and their propensity not to want to talk about money, and their propensity to have high rates of financial anxiety. And so money shame is a big issue.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm wondering if you can touch on that, because I think so many people have emotions about money that are wrapped up in shame, in guilt,
Mm-hmm.
in feelings of unworthiness, and really just not feeling confident
Yeah.
in their money skills.
Yeah, like I've always known that shame has always had a very big presence in most people's lives and with their relationships with money. But then I wanted to get a sense, was this true? So I did a poll with my audience to see, okay, what feelings or words would you associate with money? And shame was almost always number one. And I've always had a relationship with shame and money as well. It goes back to my childhood. And it was fascinating because when you kind of realize, oh, yeah, I do feel ashamed for a number of reasons when it comes to money. I mean, the thing that I hear often, and I'm sure you've heard this too, is I'm bad with money. And that is you saying that me as a person, I'm flawed and I'm ashamed for that. And what does that shame do? It prevents you from asking questions, from learning, from improving, from growing. And so shame is something that traps you. And it traps so many people into not improving their finances, not because they don't want to, it's because they don't think they deserve to. Yeah.
No, that's unbelievable. And then, of course, that's a good segue into the notion or the issue of money trauma. Now, I know, and like we've been hearing about trauma when it comes on to money more and more. At first, like back in the day, right? You never heard about money trauma.
I never heard about trauma. I feel like 10 years ago, no one was talking about trauma. They're just like, that's just how it is. And now everyone's talking about trauma.
Right.
But now, people are talking about money trauma. And so what I talk about in the book is kind of twofold when it comes to trauma. Trauma in and of itself that can have nothing to do with your money. Like if you've been in a car accident and it traumatized you, and I have a personal experience with that, that can impact your money. But also, if you have a traumatic experience that involves money, that can also affect your money. And most people in the world have some experience with trauma, and it could be small, it could be big, and it influences every area of your life until you really acknowledge it, understand it, heal from it, because otherwise then it's just living inside you forever. But it can impact every part of your life, including money. And that it's not really a topic that was discussed in many personal finance books. It's starting to be discussed now because we realize this is what's holding so many people back, why they think they're bad with money, or why they keep repeating unhealthy cycles like overspending or underspending and just not doing kind of the simple rules of money. We all know that if you do this, this, and this, you're gonna be okay. So why do people not do that? There's something else going on that's in the way, and it's probably trauma.
No, absolutely. And I know for many of us, right, when we think about our backgrounds, our experience, we never think we have money trauma. But when you go deeper, then you realize that most people do. So for instance, like I'm going back to my story. After my husband died, I thought, like, I'm an economist. We had everything in place. We had our insurance, like Dom said. We had all those critical pieces. But then I felt this sense of ill confidence. I don't know if that's a word, but I felt like, I had planned, I had put things in place, but yet still I felt so many negative emotions. I felt like, well, first of all, I had survivor's guilt. And so it just felt like, like, yes, these pieces are in place, but why do I question all my money decisions? And so I was at a point where I was like, well, there is some trauma, because when we go through grief, when we go through any event in our lives that's a life-altering setback, it creates the stage to kind of spill over into our finances, right? And even if we have that in order, it can feel like, like there's this sense of anxiety. So that's what happened. And I love the fact that, especially with us, that we've put that conversation out there, whereas it wasn't really talked about. We're talking about it now. And even as women who traditionally don't like talking about our finances, we're starting to see that happen more and more. And of course, Jessica, in your book, you talk about imposter syndrome. And I know that a lot of us women, we suffer from that. We never feel like we're good enough, or we question everything. I don't know if I belong in certain places. I don't know if I belong at the table. I know I've been there at the highest levels in this country. So I know that's a topic that you also discussed very early on.
Oh, yeah, because if you have imposter syndrome, like I think most people have, when they say, "Oh, I don't have it," I mean, good for you, or you're lying.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But most of us, and especially as women, we suffer from this because society, by and large, especially when it comes to money, has told us that we aren't smart enough, we're not good enough. That's why, I mean, I write about in the book the timelines of, you know, women being able to have any sense of financial independence. When I look to my grandma, she wasn't able to have a credit card at my age, or have you know, like everything was through my grandpa, because that's just how things were. And I think about that, I'm like, oh my gosh, we have so much more freedom now. I can't imagine living like that. And so I'm so thankful, but I still have this feeling of imposter syndrome in certain spaces. It gets better, but especially working in finance and going to some, you know, finance events, and still very male dominated, and being the woman, especially like wearing a pink suit, you stick out like a sore thumb, and you feel like no one is going to take you seriously. And so what do? We study twice as hard, we get twice as many credentials, we work twice, we do everything. And although that's great, hey, I'm very well educated now, we shouldn't have to work twice as hard to get the same amount of something. And so part of it is acknowledging that it's not fair, and we need to let go of this imposter syndrome, because it's not ours. We need to let go of that. That's the space that's putting that, like the environment, the people around us that are putting that on us. But we know before we start feeling like that, there's probably a point in our lives that we didn't feel like that. And for me, I felt like that, I think, up until I got my first job after university. I was very confident, and I was in a male-dominated field in university. I went to film school. It was mainly men, but it was a very collaborative, supportive environment. And once I left that into the real world, that's when the imposter syndrome came up, because I was now in this real world with misogyny and all these different things. And people were telling me that I wasn't smart enough, I wasn't good enough, et cetera, et cetera. And so now realizing, and where I am now, I'm like, oh, I need to let that go. That is not serving me, and it's preventing me from asking for more money, getting that promotion, growing, and you know, taking risks and investing in the stock market, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And of course, in your book as well, you spoke about wealth building for certain groups, minorities in Canada, and the barriers, right? So we talk about gender, but then there are other barriers for other groups.
There's so many groups. I mean, so I have a big chunk of the book that talks about privilege. And again, this is something that to me, I'm like, yeah, this exists. It's pretty obvious. And it's still a radical idea in certain circles, and especially in personal finance. Privilege is almost never discussed. It's always, well, you need to work harder, you're not motivated. And you're like, no, there's actual invisible barriers that are preventing women, people of color, people with disabilities, all these different groups, that they're not going to earn as much, and they're working just as hard, if not harder than you. And until we acknowledge that in all of our groups, especially if you have privilege, how are we going to break down those barriers and make it more equitable for everyone? It's crazy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I feel like that's also a big part of healing, and how we heal as a community, as a country, and how we go forward. So I'm going to move into the hot seat challenge, where I'm going to fire a couple questions at Jessica, and then you're going to have the chance to fire some questions at us.
Ooh, yeah.
Whatever those questions are. It doesn't have to be about a book.
No.
It can be anything. So Jessica, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
First question, how did you come up with the title, Everything But Money?
Okay, the real story is I came up with it kind of on a whim at this very special, but not special diner that me and my husband go to for breakfast sometimes. It's the place that a lot of special moments have happened. It's when I think I gave him my book proposal to read. I'm like, what do you think? He's like, I think this is actually pretty good. And he doesn't give compliments that often. He's a very like, it's good. And you're like, does that mean you're really excited about it? He doesn't show enthusiasm. And then there was also, the moment where I'm like, oh gosh, we're going back and forth with my, publisher about titles. What do you think about Everything But Money? He's like, I think that's really good. I'm like, oh, I think we've got a winner. But the real, concept was because it was a saying. I was saying, well, the book is not actually about money. It's actually about everything but money. And then eventually I'm like, oh, that should just be the title. So I always find sometimes in life you're waiting for a light bulb moment. It never happens for me. It's always just like, what about this? Oh, it's probably pretty good. And then later on you're like, oh no, that was the moment. It just didn't feel like it.
And so what was it like for you seeing your book for the very first time in a bookstore?
Yeah, in the bookstore, that was exciting. But as an author, sometimes you see on Instagram authors, they get like their box of books and they're like, oh, I'm unboxing. Yeah, and then they're like, oh my God, this is so exciting. I did that and I felt nothing. It just felt, I was still so disconnected. It just felt like, thought it'd be bigger, thought it'd be, all these things. I think it was just like a bit too real and I couldn't process it. And it wasn't until maybe a month later when I saw it in bookstores, I'm like, oh, this is actually a real thing. They actually printed this and are selling it and people can grab it. This is wild. And so it was, I had all of the emotions and it still kind of doesn't feel real for me when I see it. I'm like, this is mine. I wrote this. It's okay.
No, for sure. One last thing. If you had one thing you'd do over relating to probably the book, what would that be?
I mean, there's probably a few things if I could go back in time. One, I mistakenly misspelled my grandma's first name, so probably want to redo that. I blame Google. I Googled her, and her obituary came up, and I'm like, oh, that's how you spell her name. I always thought it was a different spelling. No, the obituary got it wrong, so should have just texted my mom. But otherwise, I don't know. I don't like really living with regrets, and overall, I'm pretty happy with everything about the book. There isn't something that I left in there that I wish I didn't. There wasn't something I wish I got in there. I feel like overall, I'm like so lucky to have a book, but I'm really proud of it. Yeah.
That's amazing. So I'm just going to transition here to your questions, and I think, am I doing it or doing it?
Yes, I'll do the rapid fire to you.
Okay.
And both of you.
Right.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, so Jessica, I have a question for you. And audience, just raise your hand and I'll get the mic to you. I have a question for you. What was that pivotal moment where you felt that, you know what, because you said you were a photographer.
Well, a long time ago.
How did you
I went to film
segue?
school. That was a different lifetime ago.
Right. Like, what caused you to segue into this space?
Yeah, it was a bit of a weird path. So I went to film school, and I'm originally from BC, and so I went to film school in Vancouver. Graduated in 2009 during the recession, a really great time to finish school. And then I realized, oh, I actually don't want to work in film. Lots of different reasons. I actually kind of share why in my book. But I pivoted to marketing because that seemed like a safe, easy place to kind of go. And then on the side, during my own time, I discovered the world of personal finance. I started a blog back in 2011, and I wanted a creative outlet, and I wanted to learn about money because I didn't have any, and I wanted to learn how to get it. And I mean, now it's 2025. So clearly, I was so obsessed with it then, and I'm still obsessed with it now. So I always thought my passion was film, but actually it turned out to be finance. And so, long story short, somehow now I do this as a career.
Hi, Abigail here. My question is more technical. For someone who's interested in publishing a book, What made you decide to go to the getting a publisher or seeking a publisher or publishing on your own? Is there like an advice?
Great question. I mean, for me, I think I know good and bad for both, quite honestly. I know lots of people who've self-published and they're like, it's amazing. Some people are like, there's a lot of work. And same with the other people, like, there's a lot of things that you can and cannot do when you go through a traditional publisher. For example, although I'm very happy with the title and the cover, in my contract it says I don't get the final say. So you do get a lot more freedom self-publishing. With that said, I think I've always just dreamed of going with a traditional publisher and just being able to focus on writing the book and not have to dealing with and then figure out distribution and all the other things. I thought that would have been a bit overwhelming for me. So that's kind of why I went that route. And overall, I'm really happy with my decision.
Excellent. Any other question? Your hand here?
Well, since it was, and it still is the term and the buzzword about the trauma and the money trauma, can we talk a little bit about that? And I think a lot of the money trauma is related not only family, but also cultural. Right? I don't know about Dom and Italians, but we Filipinos, we've got a lot of money traumas. So maybe we can give some examples on that, and how do we overcome, now that we know these are money traumas, what do we do then?
Okay, the solution is therapy for everything. Always, right? I mean, I did a lot of therapy. I'm not joking. I did so much therapy writing this book, and I did not intend to. I know. Well, I talk about that in my book. I literally have a part in my book being like, I know therapy isn't cheap or free. This is how we figure out how to open up that cash flow to pay for it. So I acknowledge, yeah. But no, I realized, again, doing introspection about my own relationship with money, it was really unhealthy. I was very hard on myself. No matter how much I had or what good I did with my money, I was always just like, but someone is doing this, and you're not as good as that person. I'm like, God, when am I ever going to be good enough to myself? And so for me, I wanted to explore different therapies to write in the book, but I ended up doing a lot of therapy for me to uncover and heal from my own money traumas. But like you said, money traumas can be in so many different forms. It could be a personal thing that happened to you. I have a chapter on intergenerational trauma, but it can also be cultural, depending on what kind of community or culture you're from, and these things get passed down. I mean, I grew up Catholic, and I've got so much Catholic guilt about things that don't make any sense, and it just it keeps going. And so we really need to look at ourselves, our family, our culture, to start to identify some of these things that maybe were so automatic or just so inherent that we're like, oh, actually, that's actually not helping me. It's holding me back. I mean, an example, I go through my family history in the book on both sides of my family. And what I discovered in the family trees is big, long family history of poverty. And that really stays with you, even though my parents are better off than my grandparents. And, everyone did a little bit better each generation. There's this ingrained fear of we're going to lose it all because at some point we did or we didn't have it, and that just stays with you. And I was realizing that whenever there's a market situation, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to lose my house. And you're like, I need to not react like this. And where does this really stem from? And you're like, oh, maybe from the thousands of years or hundreds of years my family actually lost it all. We need to unpack that and heal from that.
Yeah, and I just wanted to just interject because it's unbelievable once you trace your family lineage, what you pick up. And I think Jessica did that really well in her book too. But I've been training women on money trauma, and one of the things that I often tell them is to trace your disruption timeline. So look at every disruption that you've had. How did it make you feel? What was the situation? What was, the money experience involving that situation? And Jessica brought up a good point about, personal experience and what you went through depending on the nature of the trauma. Because I remember my husband died, I kept thinking and questioning all my money decisions. Like, what would he do? What would he think? And never once, it was like me at the forefront. What would Keisha do? What would Keisha think? And I remember pondering that question and, thinking, I need to embrace my personal financial identity. And I wrote about that in the book. And there's a free quiz on the Institute on Holistic Wealth website. Because once I started embracing that, then my money confidence increased. Because it's like, you know what? This is my personal financial identity. So that's one thing I would say to everyone. Go on the Institute's website and figure out what your personal financial identity is.
Yes.
Yeah. So, any other questions?
Yeah, I had two questions, but you answered the second one. The second one was, what are your advice for the next generation to shift the cycle with money and holistic wealth? But you just answered. But the first one is, Keisha, in today's fast-paced world, how can we create wealth beyond just money? Like, we're talking about including happiness, including health, purpose, and all that, and creating that personal brand online as well, because I feel like right now the society is really going with building your personal online brand. So what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, no, that's important. So one of the for everyone is having that personal mission. And we have some sheets on the table. I know we didn't get to go through that exercise, but there's a chapter in the book in Holistic Wealth about your personal mission. And that includes your life purpose, it includes your money goals, it includes everything that you want to be remembered for. So Dom spoke about leaving a legacy. And of course, a lot of us aren't just thinking about just the money part, but what would you want to be remembered for? If you could write down 3 things, what would you want to be remembered for? And I think that's a good way of kind of contextualizing your goals and what you want, and you get a good sense of your life purpose from that. Jessica, I don't know if you have anything to add, but that part of it I find really sets the stage for the money part to come afterwards, because it forms the basis of your life purpose, of who you are, your goals, your vision of your life, your legacy, all of that stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if I can add anything. I mean, yeah, it just reminds me of, a part of the book that I write is realizing that I think about legacy often, even though I'm not having children, but I'm just like, what's the mark I can put on this world? And I think for a long time, I really only thought about, like my brand and the accolades and accomplishments. And I realized if I just focus on those, I'm not that happy. You have to go beyond that and also identify, who's the person I want to be remembered. And I want people to remember me as like really friendly, really helpful, all these other things. So I think, and that kind of goes into like a really good, successful personal brand is well-roundedness. So not just like the success you see online some people have, and you're like, the people that I love following online have a bit of that, but also they feel real, they feel authentic, and they feel like someone you're like, I'd hang out with them.
Absolutely. So I don't know if anybody has any other questions.
Oh, yes, there is. No, don't apologize. That's why we're here.
First of all, thank you very much, ladies. You both could answer this question. So I'm earning more than I used to before, and now I have all this, like what we say, wealth. But on the other hand, no, not really. I mean, come on. I mean, on the other hand, as a millennial, they always say you only live once, and you go on trips and tours. So, what would your suggestion be on how to balance like saving for the future and spending for yourself right now? So,
very good question. Gosh, yeah.
To go first, Jessica, if you want to go first.
Sure. I know that YOLO. I've never loved YOLO because the whole idea of YOLO is kind of like let's focus on the present, and then you forget about the future. And I think it's and I see this especially because I work with lots of older clients in their 50s and 60s, and they're like, shoot, I have nothing. And I'm like, we don't want to be there. So it is about finding that balance. How can we take care of ourselves now and enjoy what life we have, because we don't know how long we have on this earth, but also we need to take care of future you, because guess what? You don't want to live life like, I probably won't live past 50, and you live to 90. Right? So we need to make sure we're making plans for both of us. So whenever I talk to people about why having a budget and investing in all these boring things are so important, is because it's a form of self-care, taking care of you now and into the future, right? And so we need to factor in, okay, self-care for now, how can we plan for that trip? And also there's so much, and I talk about this in my book, that for things like especially going on a trip, we get more joy out of the anticipation going on a trip than the actual trip. So it's not about like, YOLO, let's just like go on a flight tomorrow. You're gonna have such a better time going on a flight to a trip 12 months from now. So it's really about, planning for, the future, but also right now, and also really understanding what makes you happy. And does money factor in, or do you not even need money? I mean, there's a thing I talk about in the book called the Perma Plus model that shows you these are the things that make you happy, and most of them are free or low cost. There are things like being in your community, hanging out with friends and family, taking part in activities that are, you get really engaged in, like gardening or puzzling. And sometimes we need to like remind ourselves, sometimes it is those little things that actually make me really happy, and I don't need to go on a yacht.
Add to that, because I think that was a really good response. So when I think about balancing, I'm thinking about financial resilience. And I know from my story, and I always tell people this, plan to have at least 2 life-altering setbacks per decade. And if you can plan your portfolio around that, and you can weather those storms, then I think you're good to go in terms of planning those trips, doing what you love. And as Jessica said, they're low cost, very good, but I love to travel, and I know Jessica does too. Like, we all love to travel. So like as long as you're putting those critical pieces in place, and you're looking at your debt, your expenses, and you're covering off, then you should be fine. But I love that question, because it really goes back to holistic wealth, right? And what we want our lives to look like, and what we find happiness in, and how we want to spend our days.
Excellent. And on that note, that's why Domenico is here, because he will help you put that in order. This is excellent. We could go on, and I've been a budget or financial coach for about 7 years. And about 1.5 years into 2 years of meeting with mostly couples and singles, I had an aha moment. And that aha moment was, I realized that the money challenges had absolutely nothing to do with money. And you said it, Domenico, a lot of your financial planning sessions is the psychology of it. And you've confirmed that, Jessica, with the whole, trauma and shame. And it happens to men too, because the pressure is there that they should know well how to manage their finances. And when they are not, it's so hard for them to talk about that. I do young couples who are getting married, and sometimes it's the husband who brings a lot of debt into the marriage. And it's showtime. But this has been time well invested. So just by a quick check, does everybody here know a bit more than when you came about what is holistic wealth? Okay, good. Do you have some practical strategies that you can implement when you walk through that door? Yes. Don't get off the bus. There you go. She was so concerned. Yeah, go for the long haul. And have you met the founder of Holistic Wealth? and knowing her story. And it's just a great example of resilience. You know, life will throw us lemons, but we have a choice. We can make lemonade or we can be bitter. So let's choose to make things that will help ourselves and help others. And Jessica, thank you so much. You women really inspire me, and I hope you too. And for sharing that, for bringing the conversation of money trauma to the forefront. And I just want to wish you both the best to keep doing what you're doing. Thank you so much. We want to thank Domenico for coming, for all your wisdom, and you can meet him afterwards as well. I want to also thank Invest Ottawa for their presence here. You have a business idea, you can reach out to them. We also want to thank Good Life Fitness. They actually, they've supported the day by there is this 1 week of free fitness membership. That's the term. Physical, remember taking care of the physical stuff, right? And also, please get your copy of Holistic Wealth book. It's at the back in the foyer, and there's also a workbook that accompanies that. And just want to also, and Jessica's book is there as well. Oh my goodness, excellent. Everything But Money?
Everything But Money.
Whoa. It's kind of like, has nothing to do with the money. It's everything else but the money. Excellent. So thank you so much, ladies. And we have at 20 YS York Street. Thank you for being here. They're influencers. So please, hashtag Global Holistic Wealth Day. Share clips, share pictures. And remember, this is a movement. So we want you to put your hand on your heart to make a commitment to yourself, right? And this commitment is, I commit to living a holistically wealthy life. Can you tell yourself that? I commit to living a holistic, wealthy life. One of purpose, balance, and abundance. That's a promise to yourself. Please tell somebody. It's going to be harder to break that promise if you tell somebody, all right? Okay, so on that note, thank you so much. Thanks to our technical expert at the back, Larry Blair.
Can I say something, Natalie? Can
Yes,
I just put
please.
in there? So Lindsay Blair, he engineered this entire event. And without him, can I ask you to stand? Without him, this would not be possible.
Some encouragement.
So we have to, yes, thank you. And I just want to thank just my family there. There's my mom.
His mom.
And 3 kids.
Matthew, Alex, and Ella. Thank you for your help, Ella.
Yes, that's it.
Thank you so much. This has been time well invested. Please enjoy the networking. There's some really nice refreshments at the back. And thank you until the next time. Happy, happy, happy Global Holistic Wealth Day.
you.